who seems to think their power supply is not working reliably. He's talking about high utilization, which doesn't necessarily make sense or attribute to the power supply. So we're going to let it sit here for a minute. The customer also says that the problems only manifest when the machine is being worked hard. So what we're going to end up having to do is probably let the customer load a few games and see if it happens, because I don't have the time to sit here and play games on his machine waiting for problems to happen. Unfortunately, I'm not like a car mechanic where I can put some effort into driving it around the block. So let's see what's going on here. Customer doesn't necessarily know what's stored where. So he's got a 1 terabyte SSD and a mechanical drive SSD. So let's see what's going on here. Alright, okay, it looks like he installed some games on his mechanical drive. That could be part of his high utilization, which he's referencing. He's also talking about noises, which could probably be either the mechanical drive failing or his fans. He brought me a power supply, thinking that maybe the power supply was part of the problem. I don't think it is. Recognizing that his games are sitting on mechanical drive, his high utilization. All right, hi. All right. So, I'm filming this, so if you don't want to be on camera, that's fine. It's fine, and you're part of the conversation. So just don't divulge phone numbers or passwords. You're good. All right. So what I can see here is you've got some games physically stored on your mechanical drive. That could be part of your high utilization.
Okay.
Has this only been an issue recently, or since the later update of a game that you play?
No, it's probably been here for a couple months.
Right. Okay. And you have most of, let's see what you physically have stored on your C drive, which is what you're telling me is an SSD, right?
It's an M.2, yeah.
Okay.
But it should just be video games.
Okay, so, but did you install any of your, on this OBS here?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a mix.
So you've got some games and some other utilities that you use on that mechanical drive?
Yeah.
Because I can tell you it might be worth it just to swap out that original M2 drive with a bigger one and get rid of or abandon the mechanical drives. At this point these days, you're going to pay about $100 for an M2 SSD. That's going to give you a lot more performance on a mechanical drive. So I'm actually starting to wean myself off of any SSD, any mechanical drive installation, unless someone has some exorbitant desire to have storage. Like 4 terabytes of mechanical drive is a lot less expensive than, say, an SSD for 4 terabytes or more. So I would say, without having it manifest its issues, like you're telling me, this thing has to work pretty hard for these noises to show up.
Yeah, I mean, I play War Thunder and stuff like that, but
Right.
that's on my M.2.
Because what I'm wondering is if you're just working it really hard and the fans are just doing their job.
Oh, okay.
Because you brought me a power supply, and high utilization has nothing to do with the power supply.
Oh, no?
If the power supply isn't sufficient, the machine's going to shut down because the power supply isn't able to deliver enough power to both the motherboard and or the video card, because you do have a gaming rig video card.
Yeah.
So, if you start up a game, is it going to show its noises in the first few minutes?
Probably, yeah.
If you want to try logging into a game.
I'm just trying to think of a game that has like
Yeah.
a lot, maybe like
Yeah.
GTA 5 on this.
Yeah,
I don't even use this game.
I need to see things happen for me to properly diagnose. So let's just see if we can get it to do any weird behavior.
Probably GTA, but I see that one's on my mechanical drive. I don't think it's
Right, that's part of my point. If you're running your games on the mechanical drive, it's going to run slower and make your CPU work harder. So I would recommend at this point either reinstall the game on the M2 if you have room, or double up, replace the M2 with a bigger one, and start weaning yourself off of mechanical drives.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably just keep them. I upgraded the M.2 maybe like a year or two ago,
Okay.
so I'll probably just keep these.
If you have room on the M2, I would try uninstalling from the mechanical and reinstalling on the M2.
Yeah, I'll probably try that.
Because that's going to be my first suggestion, because part of the reason it might have only been an issue is because maybe an update in the game and or Windows is causing the machine to operate more heavily.
Okay.
Certain updates are performance updates, and sometimes it's detrimental. So you want to be on the fastest technology possible, which means I would say start weaning yourself off of that mechanical drive. And it's totally normal for mechanical drive to become worse. If it fails normally, you would hope it fails slowly, in the sense that it becomes a bigger problem as it progresses, and not a total blowout, like a tire blowout.
Yeah.
You would hope a mechanical drive fails in sort of the way that you would hope it fails slowly each year.
Yeah.
And you say this has been sort of a problem in the last 2 years or so?
Well, with the noise, I don't know, maybe a month or two.
Okay, so the fan, if it spins fast because it's doing its job, that fan noise, is that the noise you're talking about?
I mean, I can probably just try and boot it up, but it doesn't really sound like a fan.
Well, that's why I kind of want to hear it, because if it's your failing mechanical drive, that also is the only other thing in there that's mechanical, and therefore there's not much else other than a couple of fans that might make a noise.
I'll just try and run
Yeah,
it again.
let's just see it. It's plugged into the internet, so let's just see how it behaves. So before we spend money on any hardware, let's make sure it's not just normal behavior. Because if you're asking for no noise, but you're running off of mechanical drive, and the drive's just making its mechanical noises, that's also normal. Do you have room? I didn't even check how much space you have on your M2.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Right, because if you have room, I would highly recommend starting to migrate your Steam account and anything that gets installed on the M2 if you have room.
Yeah.
I think you'll be happier moving everything off of that mechanical drive if possible. And only storing data like music or videos on the mechanical drive, because that's the sort of content that doesn't need fast access. I only have 100 meg down. That's the fastest I can get, so I don't know how big a download you might be pulling down here.
Oh no, it's just storing mode, just as an example.
Got it.
I think G2 is kind of intensive. Sorry.
Right. Well, anything 3D oriented is going to be pulling a lot of power. Let's just see how this goes. Does it crash, or is it just noise?
Just noise.
Yeah, so it technically is able to do the job. Got it. I didn't even open it to see if maybe you have a buildup of dirt.
I mean,
I'll do that before I check, before we...
as well as I used to, but
Right.
it's probably a little dirty. Well, you kind of hear that kind of like faint, kind of like wind noise. I don't know.
Yeah, so far that sounds normal.
Yeah, but
In fact, this case, it might be the rattling of the case. Let's see. I want to see what sort of dirt we might find in here. Here, put these in your pocket for a second.
sure.
Okay, you got water cooling too, so you don't have a fan on the CPU. Oh, you got you have a loose dust cover floating around in there. That could have caused a lot of trouble. So you have a large fan. That's good because it doesn't need to spin as fast to do the job. Both fan. Oh, okay. So what I did notice is that because your graphics aren't being worked out very hard, the fans on your graphics aren't spinning right now. So I'm wondering if those are only spinning when you're working it out fast. Why don't you spend 2 minutes on the game and see if we can get those fans to spin up and see if that's the noise you're hearing? Yeah, sorry, I don't have the perfect setup for this sort of thing, but here you're standing on. No, you're not. Let me move this out of the way. There. Yeah, let's just spend a few minutes moving around and seeing if the graphics card fans are what you're hearing. Because those fans are designed not to spin full time. Only when working hard. performance looks normal. I don't see any obviously dropped frames. The print in the corner is a little small. I can't quite see how many frames per second we're getting.
Oh, we're just like 59.
Oh yeah, I see. There we go. Way up in the corner.
Yeah, just crashed a little. You kind of hear like a ripping.
Oh, I hear now. Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Okay, let me see something. That's what you're hearing.
Yeah, I thought it'd be the PSU because it's like 8 years old or something.
Okay. So now the GPU fans are now spinning. So technically, yeah, what that is, that's just our harmonic resonance through the whole case. The case is rattling.
Oh.
That's like if you put your hand in certain parts, that's going to stop. Yeah. So technically, it's a less expensive case. Part of what you pay for with a more expensive case is heavier grade metal, so it doesn't oscillate like that. And at this point, what I've recognized is that you've worked it out a little bit. After 2 or 3 minutes, the fans on the video card are now spinning up, and that's causing more vibration. And it's also dead middle of the case, which is the most loose part of the metal. I see it, I hear it. What I'm hearing is the case rattling. So technically, it doesn't seem like you have a technical issue. You have physical loose metal just kind of rattling around. Yeah, unless you get a bigger, heftier case, that's probably not going to go away because your hardware is fully functional. Yeah. When I put my thumb against the video card, the rattling stops. If you get a slightly better case, you're going to have heavier, there's nothing loose here. It's just the harmonics of the fans spinning. I'm literally just putting a few ounces of pressure on the video card and the rattling stops.
Did I install it wrong or something?
No, you did nothing wrong. That's back to my point. Your chassis, the framework, the big piece of metal that encapsulates everything, yeah, there's nothing we can do because it's not even loose cabling. You don't have a fan that's failing. When you get rid of your mechanical drives, that'll also eliminate some of the vibration because a mechanical drive is a motor that spins at either 5,000 or 7,000 RPM.
Okay.
So at this point, I would say experiment, itemize what you have on the mechanical drive, reinstall it on the M2, see if you can unplug the mechanical drives and not miss anything, and see if some of the vibration goes away because that could be part of the vibration. You're also going to put less load on the power supply. Again, you brought me a power supply to install, but that shouldn't be necessary. So by removing a mechanical drive, you got maybe 40 watts of power you are no longer pulling out of the power supply. So if you got 2 mechanical drives, that's 80 watts that are now available to be offered up to your video card when needed, which is a more efficient way to do it. That's another argument for sticking with an M2 instead of having to run your data off of the mechanical drive.
Gotcha.
So I don't see any obvious issues other than a little bit of vibration.
So you wouldn't think it's a good idea to change the power supply unit just for longevity?
No, that's not. I don't think that's going to fix this issue. No, I think.
But just like.
No, I would get rid of your mechanical drives first. Your power supply, yes, it is the second most common part in a machine to fail, but I think your power supply, in fact, you got a decent Antec 750 watt power supply. I think the power supply will be, if you want it longevity, get rid of those mechanical drives so you're pulling less power from the power supply. I mean, yeah, you could swap it out, but again, I think just moving your way off of a mechanical technology is going to be, in the long run, the better route. That noise you're hearing is rattling. Your video card, it's got plastic, and the shroud is what's rattling when the 2 fans on the video card are what are spinning up, and they weren't spinning up in the beginning. Yeah.
So there's nothing we can kind of do besides changing the whole case to kind of.
To get the, I'm not seeing any, obviously, it's the video card by itself because I literally touched, and you're not missing any screws. One of the things I was thinking about is that maybe you are missing some screws in the motherboard. because you should have 6 or 9, and I'm not seeing any missing. Because that's the other thing. If you have missing screws from the motherboard, it could be smacking the motherboard at 100 times per second.
Gotcha.
But it's not doing that because you're not missing any screws. You're dealing with the fact that this case is not the heaviest grade of metal. I'm not seeing any loose screws, literally speaking. Yeah. In fact, technically speaking, if you all of this vibration is coming from the video card. It's not even the case. So if you were in the market for upgrading the video card,
No, probably not. I mean,
right?
It's a 3060. So.
Try it yourself. Just put like a couple ounces of pressure with your finger on the top of the video card.
So push downwards?
No, push this way, inward.
Inwards?
Yeah. No, on the plastic. There you go.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's technically the construction of the video card.
Dang.
Yeah.
So you don't think it's like a manufacturer issue with the?
Well, I think it's a build quality issue. I mean, it's fully functional, but just like a certain cars, you're going to get some rattle. When you spend 15 grand on a Toyota, it's going to be a $15,000 Toyota that might give you 250,000 miles of service, but it's not a $100,000 Mercedes.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, I'm not saying that's a super cheap card, but that's just the way things are built these days in technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not seeing technical issues. The thing runs fine. And this wasn't obviously not a problem until those fans started spinning up. You have no loose screws. Like if we were to swap out the video card, then the replacement video card would likely perform differently. Which RTX is this?
It's a 3060. I want to say it's Asus. So I don't know. I had to get it off a scalper. But
Right.
it's the only way to buy them.
Right. Let's see here. Yeah, it's actually screwed nice and tight to the chassis, so it's not the chassis itself. You know what? If there is, if I put my finger in certain parts of the video card, the vibration goes away. Okay, one of the things you could do is you get kickstands that are designed to be installed so that there's not so much lateral weight pushing down. You get a kickstand that can stand on top of the power supply and kind of push upward on the video card.
Okay.
That'll eliminate some of that because it's actually designed not for eliminating sound, but specifically so you don't have so much fatigue on the video card. I've seen some video cards that over the months and years, they start to bend sideways because they're heavy. And there are kickstands or cases actually that come with vertical mounts designed to keep some of that weight load from falling out. See how my finger keeps the vibration away?
Yeah. I don't know if this played a factor, but my 980 was a Windforce with like 3 fans, and it was like 14 inches long. So
Yeah.
I might have kind of damaged the PCIe slot, or?
No, I don't think that's where any of this issue is.
Oh, okay.
No, I think the fact that this card is just rattling because of the plastic harmonics, the weight of the plastics and the RPM of this fan. These fans are not necessarily all spinning at the same RPM either. So you're going to get this vibration that comes and goes. It's not like it's always on or always off. And obviously we didn't hear the sound until the fans on the CPU or the GPU started spinning. So yeah, I can see both fans just chugging along. So at a glance, I mean at a idle is the word I want to do. At idle, there's no obvious noise because the fans aren't spinning up yet. And obviously you've got water cooling, and the fans for the air cooling for the water cooling setup are not where the sound's coming from. It's all coming from the video card. I literally touched the video card with a few ounces of pressure, and
So do you have any of those stands here that I could buy?
No, but I can point you in the right direction. Let's go to Amazon.
Okay.
Oh, that's, let me go to my computer here. Let's see here. If we go to Amazon, GPU support. There you are. See, they're like 12 bucks. Graphics card, GPU, exactly for what I was referencing. For $14, pick that up. You literally don't even need my skill. You just poke it in there.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. You don't need a particularly, and this will actually, so like this noise has only been an issue lately.
Yeah.
So that might be because of its age and the fatigue of heat. Because when you expand with heat and you shrink with contraction, you're going to fatigue these materials. So that might be why it's now a problem and wasn't months ago. So any of these, this is going to be the most versatile. This one is expecting certain availability in the case. This Antec kind of expects you to have an Antec case already.
Okay.
So this one, you can just manually poke anywhere. So put this on, and the other thing is it's only going to be available because you got two big fans on there. You're only going to be able to have support where the fans aren't spinning.
So I just put it in the middle of it, or?
Yeah, because if you put, there you go, right in the middle, right where my finger is, that makes the vibration go away.
Gotcha.
So I think a $12 fix might be all you need.
Yeah.
So I would buy that, and then you're probably good. Because I'm not seeing any performance degradation. Technically, that's all that is a kickstand. There you go. Cool. See, like I said, a lot of these graphics cards are heavy, and you got all that lateral weight where there shouldn't be. It amazes me that video card manufacturers don't just charge you an extra $20 and offer this as part of the kit.
Yeah, especially with the new 490s or whatnot.
Yeah.
480s.
Right, that video right there we're seeing shows exactly what we're avoiding here. And then that plastic. Because what might be happening is the weight of the card has changed shape, and now it has lateral weight on that plastic, which was never expected to see that sort of pressure.
Gotcha.
That's why when we reverse in the upway position, the vibration goes away. So my preliminary guess that the case was the problem is actually the video card parts causing the plastic to shudder.
All right.
So I don't technically think you have a performance problem. You have the video card being subjected to heat over time, and now that's why it's only been a problem over the last several months.
Gotcha.
So I really don't think I can offer a fix other than getting that. That would probably be my fix.
All right.
Yeah. I don't think paying me hourly to screw around with anything else would be of much value to you. Because obviously it's still a working machine.
Yeah.
And installing that power supply, I mean, ultimately, if you thought you were expecting a bigger, faster video card, it's always best to have the most power up possible.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to have fatigue on the video card by having it pull so much power out of the power supply that the power supply doesn't have enough power to allocate to the rest of the computer. That's why I'm saying you could save yourself 80 watts by getting rid of your two mechanical drives.
All right.
Yeah. So I think at this point, rather than throwing a bunch of money at this machine, throw $15 at it.
Gotcha.
And then see if your problems go away.
All right.
And in fact, it'll probably lengthen the life of your GPU.
Gotcha.
Because ultimately, it's not technically designed to be its own way. It's going to be its own demise, basically. So why don't you buy that, and we'll go from there.
All right.
Because there we are. How do we get out of this game?
If you click on the game tab.
Where? Game. Oh, game tab.
And then it should be a exit game at the left side.
Exit game. There we are. Exit game. Yes. Yeah, this is not a software problem. In fact, everything in the machine probably works fine. In fact, fact, there's even a slight chance that changing out the video card might increase the noise. Who knows?
Yeah.
I think you need to nip this one in the butt and spend the $12 on that kickstand. Let's see here. You have an ability to control that the fan.
Oh, the MSI stuff, or?
Yeah, or the it's the GeForce stuff.
Oh,
the
yeah,
NVIDIA stuff. I mean, I probably wouldn't throttle down that fan too much because it is doing its job. But anyway, you're gonna notice that sound coming and going because those fans are not always at the same RPM.
Gotcha.
So we don't have hardware failure. We have a weird technical issue because that fan is just that fan is causing the vibration because the video card over time has become kind of twisted. And that's why this has only been a recent issue. Let's see here. Just check everything out here. I would do these updates. I'm not going to keep you here there.
Yeah,
'cause
gotcha.
you can always do that at home. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. So you got these driver updates too. I would highly recommend for performance doing these updates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I know if you're not a tech geek, but you just like your games, that's something to pay attention to, these updates. Some of them are feature oriented, but a lot of them are performance oriented. So if you want good performance, do those updates. I understand that some people are hesitant because they're worried about breaking things, and Apple and Microsoft both have a history of accidentally on purpose breaking things.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I understand if you're hesitant to do the updates. So if you're updated, that's a lesser issue because you've got insurance.
Gotcha.
So let's see, are you using OneDrive, or do you have basically anything on here other than cloud-based games?
No, that's probably it.
All right, well then I wouldn't worry too much about losing data. So I would be quick to doing your updates,
Okay.
and that way, I mean, this particular machine is now of an age where it won't take 11, but you're
Yeah.
up to date. Come back in 2 years when you can no longer update Windows 10, and then we could basically rebuild you a new computer because that's when you'll be due. Everyone on 10 that can't go to 11 is still legit for another 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's because it's
It doesn't
running
have
on
the
DDR3.
The TPM 2.0 chip is what this thing probably doesn't have.
TPM 2.0.
It's a piece of hardware in the machine that is required for Windows 11 to be installed, basically.
Okay.
So I'm not going to keep you here with all the updates that need to happen.
Yeah.
Looks like we accidentally did a couple updates. We're going to update and shut down. I did say shut down, but it wants to restart. Oh well. All right, so there we go. I think we have a fully functional system. You just need to eliminate some vibration with a kickstand, a $12 kickstand for your video card, and your problem should be gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with the power supply units, about roughly how long do they usually last? Like.
Most of the hardware, like these gaming rig parts, are 3 or 5 year warranted. Which is why you're going to get better value by building your computer versus buying, say, an HP Omen or a Dell Alienware, because you're still just getting your default 1 year warranty if you get something like that.
Yeah.
So even if you don't consider yourself a expert, you can still get better value by building your computer because you're going to get that 3 year or 5 year warranty from each part in the machine. The only problem is if you want to upgrade or if something does go wrong, you do have to revisit the inside of the machine, which you'd have to do at Dell anyway. So, and then you're going to spend a few $100 to upgrade that Dell warranty or that HP warranty.
Yeah, well,
So-
it's probably out of warranty. Like I said, it's like 8 or 9 years old.
Right. So basically, regardless, I tell people to expect 5 or 6 years. Ultimately, that's basically what Windows 10 is offered. So if Windows 10 came out, I forgot exactly what year, but in 2 years when it's no longer updatable, that'll be an obsolete product. And at that point, you'll be due for new hardware anyway.
Oh, okay.
So 6 or 7 years is pushing it. So yeah, at this point, use it for another 2. You got a fully functional machine, and then in 2 years you go to Windows 11 with new hardware.
Gotcha.
You'll be due for new motherboard, new RAM, because DDR5 will be probably mainstream in 2 years,
Yeah. All right.
and that way you'll be happier with a replaced machine. And of course, these updates that you push with these games will require hardware that's beefier than what you currently have anyway.
All right.
There we are.
So it's kind of still making that noise.
No, it's off.
At
Whatever
idle.
noise you're hearing is something else in the office.
Oh, it is?
It's currently off. I just turned it off.
All right.
So what I think what you're hearing are these lights.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah. All right. So yeah, it turned on and off nice and quick. I didn't see any other performance issues. And yeah, it's interesting that that little dust cover didn't cause you any grief because apparently it fell off. It was missing a screw,
Oh, wow.
but I don't see any other loose parts.
Hmm. Weird.
Yeah, here's your mechanical drive. So yes, you do have two mechanical drives. If you can eliminate both of those, that's like 80 watts of power.
Wow.
That would be lightening a lot of the load from your power supply.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably get rid of one of them or something.
Right. Well, I mean, it's part of the vibration.
Yeah.
So it's a motor. It spins
Mhm.
at either 5 or 7,000 RPM. And the fans are the only other thing in here that would physically cause any sort of vibration.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, did I hand you those screws?
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
there.
So hand me the power supply. I mean, I'm sorry, the
This one?
cover. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that's tricky.
Yeah.
This is tricky. Getting
yeah,
this
I can
out.
do it. It's
All right,
it's a
okay,
little
you
old.
want to try?
Yeah.
I don't want you to
Yeah.
slip when you're trying to walk down those stairs. That's already a liability. Okay. Let me see those screws. Yeah. Oh no, it's not on the back. Yeah. See? Like, Ah. Okay. There. Now I think I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the bottom and the top now. There we are. Now we're good.
All right.
All set.
All right. So. Cool.
Cool. Which power supply is that?
Oh, it's a Corsair 850.
All right, cool. Yeah, so it's an 850 watt power supply, which would be an upgrade, but I don't think it's necessary in this situation.
All right. Well, thanks for your help.
Yeah, no problem. Here, let me get the door for you.
Yeah. So, do you have both locations open? And
No, I was there for 5 years.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. All righty. Let's see here.